evening, everyone. I am Marpesa Allen, and I am the Community Engagement Specialist with YbY Early Learning. And this is our very first community workshop of the year, and so I had to make it a good one. I am very excited to have a guest here with us today, Bill Peters, who is a very established community leader here in the Denver metro area and has a wealth of actually unique um, insight and support that would be helpful to all of us in terms of how to work with young academically challenged students. Specifically in this instance, Bill has written a book about his challenges with stuttering. And so I am really excited to just open up the conversation, hear more about the inspiration of this book, and yeah, hopefully we generate a lot of questions and also inspiration now that we're establishing this conversation, and hopefully continue the conversation on how we can support young learners who are not the, I don't even know what normal means, but just that ideal, that normal student, which I don't know what that means, but for sure we do have young students that are on the fringes, and that is our
Mhm.
goal, is to be able to support, love on, teach, raise, nurture all students. So without further ado, Bill, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you. And I'm not gonna lie, we've known each other for a while. So if we get lost in conversation, we apologize. But I'm such a fan, and I'm glad that we were able to reconnect towards the end of last year. So
Yeah, and I think it's amazing that you were my guest on my first
yes.
podcast. So
I need to go
pretty
back and
cool. We've
listen
like
to it.
switched it around.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. Well, Bill, I would just love for you to share any type of intro that you would like to share about yourself personally, professionally, and
Mhm.
we'll start from there.
Yeah. So thank you again. I'm Bill Peters. I live in Lakewood, so the west suburb of Denver. I've lived here, my family and I, going on 15 years almost. Um, I I have a background in psychology. I have a master's in psychology. But I have been working in the field of developmental disabilities for 13 years now.
Wow.
Started off as a para educator in the public schools, and I absolutely fell in love with the kids, um, working with young adults with all different types. I am so sorry. My Alexa is giving a weather update.
No worries.
Um, um, uh, all the broad range of disabilities. I had never worked with that population, and I just I was like, this is where I want to be. And so um, from there, I went on and worked in several different areas. Um, how you and I got in touch and everything. So I became an employment coach. So helping people with disabilities find employment. Um, Went on to do case management. And currently I work for community living alternatives. And I am the residential program director
Love it.
there. So um, that's my professional background. Um, and so I recently have finished writing a book
Yes,
um,
you did.
that I started, gosh, like back in April of 2007. It's taken me quite a long time.
Congratulations.
um, so uh, it is a children's book, and I can share the cover of it.
Do. I have a question for you regarding
Yeah,
because you dedicated the book to your son, and
yes,
I am just really excited to also hear about that part too of the inspiration of being a father. Um,
yeah,
and then taking your time in writing the book, I think is just so admirable because so many people want to hurry up and rush to, get something out. But, I think when we are dedicating something to our children, it is very clear through the illustrations, the dialogue, the,
mhm.
just your inspiration from the Disney. Um, I'm just excited I'm giving it all away, but
Oh, you're fine. You're
I
fine.
love that you are dedicating your book to your son and then also tying your own inspiration, your life experience, and then your love for baseball.
Yeah. So yeah, the dedication. Um, Let me turn this first though. Okay. So I think everybody's, if you're watching, you probably realized by now I have a speech impediment. So um I I can so I've been a lifelong stutterer. I have a card, a stuttering club card as a lifelong member. Uh, I became aware of it when I was like 5 years old. So, but that's typically when it starts to become prevalent.
So,
Um, so I've dealt with it my entire life. For some kiddos, they grow out of it, and that's wonderful. Um, and for some of us, it doesn't ever go away. So um, it definitely is hereditary. So I stutter. My younger brother stutters, and my oldest son uh, stutters as well. So, um, and so when he was, gosh, so that he was born in 2001, so about 5 or 6 years old. Um, I, I really wanted to help him understand that, you know, just because you have a speech impediment,
Mhm.
it is not the measure of you as a person. It doesn't, it has no bearing on your how smart you are, how creative you are. It doesn't make you any less of a person than anybody else. Um, and, you know, with anything, with a speech impediment, with any kind of disability, any difference, color, boy, girl, whatever it is, right? Our kids face so much adversity that I just, I wanted something to help him understand that your words, it's not how you physically speak them, it's the power and the message that you are putting out there. That's who you are, not how you speak it, right? So that's why I dedicated it to him. Um, it took me a long time to write it because honestly, back then I didn't know how to write.
Mhm.
So um, I uh, so it took me quite a while, I think, to progress in my own uh, journey to really be able to finally write it how I really wanted it.
Love it. I love that. And why baseball? Oh,
Why
first of all,
baseball?
what's the title of your book?
Yeah.
Why baseball?
Yep. So the title of my book, I'll put the cover back up. So the title of, hold on, you would think by now, since COVID, we would finally figure out how to push the right button
No, they change it
to
every update.
share a picture, right?
It's not our fault. It's the era of updates and this version and that version. I swear it is not our fault. I stand on that.
So here's the cover of it. So the title is On the Mound, a rookie's triumph in baseball verse. Um, the why baseball? So the one thing that I could do very, very well as a kid
Mhm.
was play baseball. I was taught to play baseball since I was very, very little. I grew up with baseball and um, found out that I was pretty good at it. Um, so it, for me, baseball was just more than playing a sport. It
Mm,
was something that I could do better than other kids. So for me, like baseball was like my world. Like in the classroom, people were laughing at me. Like I couldn't read out loud. I
mm,
would hardly ever talk in front of people. Um, so, you know, out there, I was disadvantaged,
mhm,
but in baseball, I could I could dominate.
mhm,
So I felt like I had control. And so baseball was like everything to me. Um, but it also taught me a lot about life. And I think you find that with a lot of kids today, especially athletes. Um, it's a stereotype that, oh, this guy's a, a football player, but man, he's dumber than a box of hammers, you know. So, which is not true,
right.
but um, still, baseball was my thing, and for the longest time, I was always told, "Well, Bill, your college and everything because of academics never gonna happen to you. So you better
Mm,
play baseball because that will be your pathway to possibly having an education,
mm,
um, which didn't happen either. So, um, so yeah, I mean, it was just baseball. I'm originally from a small town um, outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Um, my hero is Roberto Clemente, one of the very first, um, not only African American players in the kind of the modern age, but like he was also from um, Puerto Rico, and he was a great humanitarian.
mm,
Um, he ended up dying in a plane crash on New Year's Day, delivering supplies to earthquake victims.
mm,
Um, and so Roberto Clemente once said, um, if you're not dedicating yourself to helping others, then what are you? what are you doing, really? And I've always took that to heart. And but not only was he a humanitarian, but he was also a part of that racial barrier breaking in professional sports. There's always this debate: who was better, Jackie Robinson or Roberto
I did not
Clemente?
know that.
Yeah, so there's, if you're a diehard baseball historian, there's that argument.
Wow.
Robinson or Clemente, they were, both of them were amazing. Um, but you know, they were breaking down racial barriers.
Mhm.
They overcame so much adversity. And on top of that, they were both stand up human beings. Um, and they also knew, in order to make it in baseball,
Mhm.
they had to work harder than everybody else because they were that disadvantage
Mhm.
because of race. So no matter what they talked about or said, it wouldn't really matter
Mhm.
because they were black. But they had to prove it in their skill. And so they worked. They worked harder than everybody else. And I learned that. Um, and so those kinds of lessons for me
Mhm.
carried over from baseball to academics.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you did that. A
So,
family, college, masters, um, real thought leader and community around it, and then also living it out professionally and being a father
mhm.
is all what they weren't expecting from you. And I think that's cool. I
Yeah, and
always,
I
well,
just also think about, you know, when I was growing up, it was a different age and time and everything. Like I probably don't, I probably didn't even have half of the social pressures that kiddos have on them today.
yeah,
So,
that's why that's why it's so important for public conversation like this to happen, literature, and something that I also am finding to be more important that's being new is call it out. Be brave enough to call it out.
yeah,
Brave enough, to say this is how I'm treated because of a condition I have no control over. I think that
yeah,
we're moving into an era where we're able to name abuse, we're able to
yeah,
name miseducation, we're able to name things that have been suppressed before in order for others to thrive who don't deserve it. But also, it's opening up such a it's just opening up these gates of opportunity for kids specifically that, let's say, 30 years ago would have been, you know, just disregarded.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine how many contributions at this point
Oh,
that have made because of these new laws and
yeah.
disability that, even down to, like, if you're not able-bodied now, you see old establishments where um they don't have ramps and they don't have elevators. You're going to lose business, you're going to get fined. They
Yep.
have to be able to get on the bus. So just being in this a world and opportunity of space that we do have an opportunity to say, hey, that's been abused for a really long time, but also you don't know the answer. We do.
Right. Yep. And you know, I think just as many people say, like social media is part of the problem,
Mhm.
I think social media is also a platform for calling it out.
Yeah. I
And it can work either way. Um, my oldest son, who's, gosh, he's a man now,
How old is he?
20, he's going to be 24 this year.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? So, well, you know,
Mm,
public education, um, navigating that world is very hard, especially when your kiddo has like a learning disability or any type of disability. And so, uh, as a parent, like my wife and I learned early on, like you have to be an advocate. Like you just have to be the pain in the butt parent who calls and calls and calls and calls and calls, writes letters and calls,
and
because getting somebody to listen, like actually listen to you, is extremely hard.
yeah.
And my son, I think he lost so many years of education because of having having that label as having an IEP,
Hmm.
having a speech impediment. Because so what my wife and I have found, and I've even found it in working in disabilities, is they lump you in to a group. It's not individualized. At least it wasn't then. So, like, for example, my son stutters. He doesn't have a learning disability. He's not autistic. He doesn't have Tourette's. He doesn't have anything else except having a speech impediment. Well, we found out that because of that, because he had an IDP, he was being automatically enrolled in all special
Hmm.
ed classes. We found out at one point that he had a teacher who would actually put him out in the hallway. Um, and you know, I I feel bad about that because I strongly feel for as much time as he was taken out of the classroom,
Mhm.
he truly did not learn how to learn. If that makes any sense, like isolating him from other people really inhibited his ability to learn, be a learner. And so, he ended up, it was rough. It it was rough. And like other kids, he hated school. He hated high school. We
Oh,
bounced around, tried all these different programs and different, educational formats, and nothing ever worked for him. And so he didn't finish high school. Um, he ended up going to the federal um, job corps, um, finished his education there, and he did very, very well. Um, but I just, the system is like it's there to help, but man, it really doesn't help much.
I think that's what sticks out to me so much about what you're saying is that he missed out on learning how to learn.
Yep.
And not only that, the district lost an opportunity to learn how to teach. So both, it was a lose lose for both. And so much accountability is put on us as parents to be in this rat race for trying to figure out what we pay our tax dollars to, encourage, well, to have our districts up and running because we're paying taxes, but we're also spending so much time and effort on asking, um, you know, just like just it doesn't make sense that we're having to spend so much time when in reality that's I feel like as parents like that are like us are very convicted about I'm wanting to help my child navigate, but these institutions that say they are here to do that are in fact more concerned about increasing and let me say this, there's nothing wrong with special education if that is what your child is in need of and the place that they are is good at it. However,
Mhm.
we do know that there's a lot of money that is attached to a child that's in special ed. So until we're able to acknowledge the money pipeline of how this works as seasoned parents, because I would say I'm about to be a seasoned parent because my in school, because my son's graduating this year,
Oh, wow.
I would encourage parents to also be mindful of the politics and the hierarchy and all of the mud that you're going to get into it the moment that you put your child into public education. I mean, there's sometimes I'm just like, okay, if you're recommending your child to be an IEP, have you done your due diligence to make sure that's what's actually needed for them? And then on top of that, I want to know how much the district is getting for my child
Yeah.
to be on this track. Because if that's what they're getting, then some of that money needs to go directly to the support of my child. And I should not
Mhm.
have to come up here you know, several times a year, phone calls, not, and I mean, I've had instances where, I've had more behavioral things, but I do think it has been because of
Yeah.
frustration of not knowing how to learn certain things and then being made an example, like you were saying with your son, like being sat outside. Um, it's it's disheartening and it has to stop, basically, is where I'm getting. Like, what will it take? What do you think that it would take? I guess that's my question now that I think about it is like, what do
Mhm.
you think? How do you envision this stopping and for our American school system to finally realize that we need to pivot, or we will continue to be on a track that um, is going to fail our kids? And then
Yeah.
those our kids are going to not have the tools to empower the next generation, and all we have is broken promises, broken systems. So what do you
Yep.
think from, your intersections would wake up?
Yeah. Wow. That's a big question. But um, I think personally, I think we need to do more on learning how kids learn. Like, you're in education, you've taken all the development classes and everything. And yeah, I mean, that's all great theory and practice and everything, but I think, I mean, it isn't a new problem. I mean, everybody learns differently. So, you know, to expect one teacher to teach, you know, 30 plus kids, like that's almost impossible.
Right.
And you can only do so much as a teacher. I think that's one thing is really creating a education system curriculum that really meets kiddos where they are
Mhm.
and not already start off with we want you to be this
Yeah.
because you're already putting an expectation on people
Hmm.
that's not realistic, right? The other part of that too is I think it's all connected. Like I working in youth ministry and things over the years, like how can you expect kids to be able to learn
Hmm.
if just their basic needs aren't met?
Yeah.
Uh, safety, having a home, having clothing, having heat, having water, having nourishment.
Hmm.
Like, if you don't have that, those, we're talking about the higher Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, if you're not getting those basics, how are you ever able to really be expected to be in class on time,
Yeah.
be able to pay attention,
Yeah.
be able to focus and do all these other activities when you might be thinking about where's my next meal coming from
Mhm.
when I go home. Will my parents be there? I don't know. Like, I mean, it's everything is like so connected where I think it isn't like an easy answer. Like, you have to start like at the foundation and really go upwards. And teachers teachers are supposed to be teachers, not caseworkers and social workers and CPS workers and behavioral therapists. And then you add about school safety. Like, there's so much going on that is not education,
Yeah.
that how do you even where do you even start? I
Mhm.
mean, I I know that's kind of a bad answer for your question, but like I don't know. Like I honestly don't know. I think too, like, hands-on learning is hugely important. I think college is thrown in there, but as
Uh-oh. Are you there? Uh-oh.
there's just so many options that I don't know. That's that's a hard question. And unfortunately, I wouldn't make a good political candidate because my answer would be, I don't know.
And I keep
That's
turning
a great
people down.
question.
I keep telling people I will never run. Stop asking.
Like, nope, 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 nope. That's
Well,
okay.
you know what? Just to circle it back because we're wrapping up, but I will say your book
Mhm.
is a start for sure. And
Well, thank you.
I mean, it's just a testament. If you have the life experience, the pen to paper, it will not die. And so you may be the catalyst to someone reading, and they do have the answer. And I love that you are also using um, baseball because a lot of times I use basketball because I'm a basketball mom, and golf and
Yep.
track. And in this instance, for me, track is like when you talk about relay races, it is not, just one person's job to win. It is not just one person's job to get the whole team to the finish line.
Right.
It takes passing the baton. And, in some way, your book is a way of passing the baton and saying, like, I don't know, but I know that there's more to explore, there's more to trailblaze, and you are speaking to the young Bill. You're speaking to, your son, and that is just so
Mhm.
um admirable. It's honorable that you would do that.
Thank you.
Um, I would like to see maybe because we're running out of time, but I'd like to see if you could email me. Well, no, if you wouldn't mind, because there were resources in the back of your book. You wouldn't
Hmm.
need to email me, but just permission to share
Oh,
um,
totally.
resources.
Yeah.
And then also, when your book is available, please let us know because we.
Yeah, it's not published yet, but I'll tell you this. If any of your parents or viewers that want to read it,
Uh-huh.
um, let me know. I have no problem
That's so
sh-
sweet.
sh- sharing it, because I didn't write it to make a profit off of anything.
To make a change.
Um, yeah, it's a
Make a difference. So if you're
conversation piece, and really my goal is to do more things like this, and get out and talk to people and help where that's needed.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Bill.
So
This was awesome. It's always a pleasure speaking with you and
yeah,
being a dreamer right along with me. And definitely with YbY. I'm glad you had an opportunity to meet our director and our assistant director um,
yeah,
on board. I love when we're able to find like minds and people are on the same page. So I
mhm.
hope that in the future we can collab again.
That would
And
be awesome.
yeah, just thank you so much for your time and the opportunity for us to chat today.
You're very much welcome.